the newer buyers who are moving into the market, they don't know, never heard of a 2.9% interest rate.
Sure.
When you think about it. And we know, based on our age and our little bit older brothers and sisters, rates used to be 21%. When I entered into the real estate residential sales in 1992, interest rates were hovering around 17%.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Jay McHugh, owner and Chief Appreciation Officer at LAER Realty. Jay, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I want to say thanks very much for inviting me on, and I appreciate you and your staff and look forward to a good chat today.
Thank you. My distinct pleasure. I appreciate you spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. Please tell us about yourself, about your unique title, and about LAER Realty.
Absolutely. LAER Realty was born around 2014. All full disclosure, my wife is the big cheese, and I take a second seat to her. She's the creator. Good news is that I'm the type of person that is the co-owner, but also someone in the field who's able to use my ownership ability as well as my agent ability out in the field. Chief Appreciation Officer, I believe in appreciating more and more oftentimes our real estate and small business ventures have an attitude of, well, they got great service for me, that's enough. Or I'll give them a gift after I make a transaction or a sale. And I just learned early in my career that if you're not saying thank you more and more often, you're more likely maybe transactional, but you're not going to be relationship. And for the real estate space, most agents are looking for that referral repeat business. They just don't understand what they're missing. And that's when I come in to play to help guide them, coach them to understand it's not the cost of saying thank you, sending a card, sending a gift. It's the cost of not doing that that's more expensive.
Hey, that's important stuff, right? It's still in every industry, it's still human beings at every turn. I'm constantly amazed at how many businesses seem so hell-bent on the next transaction as opposed to that sort of long-term relationship. Microcosm of that had bought a car from a car dealership in LA that turned out to be the nicest people in the world. And I was treated so well, I called a meeting with their GM and he said, look, I don't make a living on selling you one car. Well, most businesses tend to be looking right here right now because, you know, they're struggling to survive and grow and scale. So I appreciate your being the Chief Appreciation Officer. That's quite a thing.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about LAER Realty.
Absolutely. Full disclosure, again, I'm not going to name franchises and so forth, but we used to belong to a major franchise. And what we learned is they have some great tools and services and benefits. And then lots of independent agencies out there in the real estate space either choose not to or not to align themselves with it. And we try to do both. We try to give enough market understanding to the local and the national market for the agents to have some leverage, but we don't have the chains or the rules, the regulations, etc. And we're a combination of a very significant big player in the marketplace, but allowing the agents to be their independent contractor, to be their own creative means, and to let them flourish with the back end support of our tools, features, services, and support staff that is second to none.
That's important. You know, people need to know that that they have the freedom to be who they are, but B, that there's support behind them. That's an important structure. And is this exclusively residential real estate, or is there a commercial component as well?
Definitely commercial component. We're growing the commercial end of it. We see agents who have great investors that will get into the 1031 exchange or multifamilies, strip malls, small commercial, and even large commercial buildings. So we are definitely understanding the needs that if you are making real estate a career choice, why not open up and have a commercial division that allows that particular agent to say, hey, I'm growing and I'm going to stay with you and I'm going to grow with you and let's grow our commercial division.
Excellent. And what are the most common challenges and problems you're solving for your clients?
Well, for the clients, it's just the understanding. I mean, they can go on and I don't like to knock what's out there, but we know there's many different sites out there that might give a general landscape understanding of what the market's doing across the country, but that might not be local. And to be able to diffuse that, to understand that, to share that with folks that New York, Miami, Boston, they're very hot markets. Springfield, Mass, Ohio, Cleveland, things like that might be different markets. Now, if someone puts out a blog and says, generally, this is what the market's going on, well, it's misinformation for the local market or the local agent. And for that, that agent needs to be able to compel him or herself to understand what is being said and communicate it to their buyer, their seller, their investor, to make them understand that, real estate is local. There is a national component to it, but understanding how to communicate that is the difference between coming in second place, 16th place, or first place.
Understood. Now, in terms of that general landscape and broad strokes and local markets and things, tell me about the COVID years. I'm under the assumption that, the great reset, the great resignation and all the remote work means that people are trying to move to where they can afford more space, more land. Tell me what the trend has been and how COVID was for you guys. How did you sustain and manage to grow LAER Realty through the COVID years?
Great question, Andrew. What happened with COVID, surprisingly, it caused a shortage of inventory, but increasingly low interest rates, which caused buyers to come out and decide, let's make a decision. Let's hang our hat and let's lock in a 30-year fixed rate for 2.5%, 2.9%, 3.25%, and we'll be set for life and good for them. And it did help the real estate market listing agents. As they said early in my career, I've been in the space over 32 years. The coaches out there would say, list, you last in this business. If you're working with buyers, they can drive you bananas. And I do work with buyers. I had one particular buyer that put in 27 offers and came up short all the time. A lot of work not to get paid. Therefore, we try to help our agents to understand you can certainly work with buyers, and it's a great thing to work with buyers, but listings make you last in this business. And we have a component of continuing educating our clients and our agents who are our clients. And COVID didn't hurt us. What COVID did was make people realize that you can do business without a full office over your head because of technology that we're doing. And the people who can assign themselves with technology skills, along with the street skills, are the ones who are surviving, lasting, and they're going to produce extremely good results when a lot of the agents are going to leave this industry because they should not have been in this industry from the beginning. So it's a good way of weeding out the people who shouldn't have been in the business and making sure, what I tell people, we're here to solve a problem. If I can solve a problem, then I've earned my fee. If I'm just an order taker, you will go onto the internet and find whoever can take that order for the least amount of money. And you have to live with that result, good, better, and different. Most times it's bad. Most times it's indifferent.
Fair enough.
That's how I try to train the agents to understand their value proposition in today's market.
Understood. And let's talk post-COVID for a second. As the Fed keeps on raising interest rates, there has to be quite an impact on your industry. Tell me about the recent times.
Absolutely. Great. Once again, someone just years ago could afford a $700,000 home for the same payment. They can't afford $480,000. That's pushing some of the prices down. It's pushing the number of offers that come in down. It's pushing the number of people that are calling or coming to an open house down. Yet, as I'm very skilled as you are in this business because we self-educate each other, is that I explain to a potential buyer, just rent the rate. If the rates are projected to come down, you're renting the rate at 7.5% for a couple of years, and then you're going to refinance with your best loan officer at 4.5%, 5%. And even if it doesn't come down, because I have the nickname or saying, there's no guarantee, Jay. Yeah, but goal is to have a roof over your head in the neighborhood that you want. If we continue to wait and hope, I like saying, you know, I'm on the back nine of my life at 55 years of age. We don't have many more years or decades to make up. And if you're 30 years of age, you do have many more years to make up. And when you're 30, you're most likely not going to be in that house the rest of your life. There's the component of helping people educate themselves to understand, yes, rates have moved up, but it's not the end all be all. Find the house that's best for you and your spouse, wife, investor, friend, significant other. Be happy with it and get out of the rent roll, because the rent roll is what's really killing people. Seeing $25,000, $35,000 a year times two, $70,000 in lost rent roll. Well, $700,000 home, the house would have to go down 10% for you not to have benefited by buying that house, even at the high interest rate. Sorry, I can continue. I don't want to make this all about.
You're preaching to the choir. Time is the most valuable commodity we've got, and perspective changes, right? I'm the same age as you. A lot of people seem to be working for retirement, but get there at an age where they can't possibly enjoy things the way they envisioned for those 40 or 50 years of work. So it's important to make those choices when you can. If you have the wherewithal to pull the trigger on a home, yeah, rates will come down. There will be a refi in your future. I assume the refi market has been very slow in the last year. Is that accurate?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Loan officers at time have been blessed with refinancing and just printing money for themselves. Today, someone who did 30 loans a month is lucky if they do 4 loans a month. The thing that I find interesting, backing up a little bit on your comment, is that the newer buyers who are moving into the market, they don't know, never heard of a 2.9% interest rate.
Sure.
When you think about it. And we know, based on our age and our little bit older brothers and sisters, rates used to be 21%. When I entered into the real estate residential sales in 1992, interest rates were hovering around 17%.
Oh my God.
Therefore, the rate is really not as important as what you can afford, what your income is, and what do you want. I had a client yesterday, they unfortunately, witnessed a shooting in the street.
Oof.
And then they said, I just want to get out of that neighborhood, Jay. I want to get into the neighborhood where you have this listing. Well, they're solving a problem. It wasn't about the interest rate. It wasn't even about the price of the home. They needed to solve a problem to get out of that neighborhood. Yet there couldn't be too much information on the internet when people are projecting what to do, not to do. And I look at it and I just love that statement is, we're here to solve a problem. If you want to get out of that neighborhood, who cares if the rate is 18% or 2%? You just want to get out of that neighborhood. You're solving a problem.
Security is priceless, right? I mean, you can only afford what you can afford, but in terms of the list of priorities, that's pretty high on it. Anybody with a family, you want to be able to sleep at night, not be peeking through your blinds all day long.
Absolutely.
Hey, I used to live in the East Village of Manhattan, and I was looking over my shoulder a lot of hours of a lot of days. Getting out of there is kind of priceless.
Well said. And I think staying on that subject a little bit, we all don't have to live in Hollywood or the Hamptons or some of the best neighborhoods in the world. We should decide, if you don't want to live in Massachusetts, move to North Carolina, move to Georgia, move to San Diego. Oh, that might be an expensive spot, but find a spot outside of San Diego that will make you happy. Just don't sit in an area where you're unhappy, hoping that rates come back down to 2.9, because frankly, I don't think they will in our lifetime.
In our lifetime. Ouch. All right. What differentiates LAER Realty? What makes you stand out from all of your competition?
My wife, she's the
By the
force
way,
behind it.
You're a smart man. I'm just going to say.
Well, if you meet her, you'll agree with me. But I mean, between our systems, our wife, my wife, Stacy Alcorn, running the day-to-day and having systems in place, it makes it easy for an agent to say, okay, I'm comfortable here. I can do what I want. I have the back-end services. And frankly speaking, it's a lot easier than, say, the BS of a corporate-owned type of franchise. The smaller franchises are great. Boutique offices are great, but sometimes you can't grow. When you can't grow to a level that you might want to because you don't have the infrastructure or you're limited geographically. And there's a lot of folks out there from around the country that might mimic what we do, or maybe they'll say we're mimicking what they do. But the bottom line is that people have to like where they work, have an understanding and agreement. It's similar to a listing. I tell these agents, I said, if you have a listing client that is too demanding, say, no, thank you. I can't take the listing. Same thing with the buyer who's expecting the Taj Mahal and they only can afford 200,000. I can't take you on as a client. And therefore we understand what agents are looking for out in the marketplace. We can provide them. And if they can't agree with them, there's the door. No worries.
Well, you're describing managing expectations, which I think is 90% of all relationships, personal and professional. It's an important thing to do. The almighty dollar tends to take care of itself when you take care of all the relationships and all the other details of the equation.
Well said.
What value has content played in the growth of LAER Realty? How have you told your story over the years?
Excellent question. Stacy's a great writer. I'm a great writer. We love telling stories. Facts tell, stories sell. If I get that through to agents and make them understand, then anybody could say a 4-bedroom, bath and a half, Lakeview home. But if you're not telling the story about the folks that you can invite here, have memories with, enjoy the lake 4 months out of the year, even on the ice fishing and snowmobiling and all that other stuff, then people might not see that. It's the same thing with the story, the blogging of LAER Realty Partners. It's making people understand that they're part of a community. The donations that we make nationally, locally, regionally are important to folks. The fact that we have a human heart running the company and being able to express that. Not everybody, it's a buffet. Not everybody wants the steak and the seafood. Some people would rather have the pasta and the salad. But we have a buffet services of menu that people can say, this is good. And that's the story that you have to project. And Stacy does it better than anybody else.
Hey, I truly believe that when you have an open heart and mind at the top of a company's food chain and that disseminates down, the sky's kind of the limit. So I applaud the approach. Look down the road a year. What are some things you'd like to be celebrating personally and professionally?
Personally, just seeing my daughter Ocean continue to grow. She's the thing that makes me wake up in the morning and fall asleep, giving her a kiss at night. She's our only child, and she's just a great kid. Personally, my wife and I love pets. We take care of our cats and dogs. We love to spend time with family and friends. And professionally is just to continue to grow in a positive way. We've been in the business a long period of time where we rented and saw our own mistakes, sending out hundreds of thousands of dollars in renting. And now we're in an acquisition, buying buildings and finding that balance of being able to put a office in a new town, but making sure that we own the building instead of renting it. That's what I see over the next year is acquisition between 4 and 5, 6 new buildings and landing some new offices in the New England region. We've grown down to Florida, but that might take some time. We have about 5 offices down there right now, but we're open to other areas of the country. We've had an interest in Las Vegas, Nevada. We've had an interest in Texas, but at this point, we're just making sure to make the right decision. As you know, our friends ahead of us have said, a good no sometimes is a lot better than a yes to everything. So it's a matter of making sure that everything works out correctly. And that's what we see a year from now. The market will change, but I think we're in a position to recognize that our best agents are our anchor. We can help the medium agents, and then the ones that shouldn't be in our office or anybody else's office, they should leave the industry.
I agree. No is an important word, and a lot of people try to exclude it from their vocabulary, but it's part of reality and honesty that needs to exist. It truly does. So I applaud your approach. What's your URL? Where can people find LAER Realty, and what social media outlets are you using these days?
If we Google LAER Realty Partners, you'll come up with everything. LAERrealty.com, easy. J McHugh, Google that. You'll find everything about me and all the different social media platforms. It's interesting that you talk about social media because, you know, there could be 29, 30 popular social media platforms, and every individual agent utilizes them for their own best interest, which is great. I'm not a big fan of TikTok. I wasn't a big fan of Snapchat, but it might be my age, could be my demographic. But we allow and evolve with other agents to be able to do the same thing on their own individual platform, and we push the LAER brand for them to leverage it. But that's how people can get in touch with us. LAERrealty.com, jmchugh.com, and of course, if you Google Stacy Alcorn or J McHugh, LAER Realty Partners, you'll see a plethora of entries for people to contact us.
Jay McHugh of LAER Realty, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for spending some time with us on Business Ninjas. All the best to you and yours, and continued success.
Thank you for having me, and continued success to you and your staff. Cheers.
Thank you so much. Be well.